Hello, and welcome to Stitching Across the Smokies. I am Tanya, and this is my little stitching neck of the woods. Today is Monday, October 27th, and I've kind of moved my spot that I'm filming in just to see how this works out. We'll see how the light plays. I may have to switch back to the way I was, but with moving it in this direction, I am able to kind of, display, so to speak, even though they're not fully finished, a couple of finishes that I have up here behind me. And I will take a close-up picture of them both and insert them so that you can see them a little bit better. But these are a couple of my finishes. The first one, the fox, is by Cottage Garden Samplings. This is part of the Year in Woods. He was stitched on 16 count Aida from Picture This Plus in the color Barnwood. I used all the Cod 4 threads in him, and he is stitched 2 over 1. I started this piece March 24th, 2022. And I finished him on June 25th, 2023. So I will put in a picture now, a close-up picture, so that you can see the stitching just a little bit better. Alright, and then my other finish that I wanted to show and talk about this morning was one I showed in my very first video, because it was a completion not too terribly long ago. This is Shooting Star by Carolyn Manning. It is stitched on 18 count Aida in the color white. I used all the Cod 4 DMC, and it was stitched over, 2 over 1. And I started this piece June 24th, 2021, and finished it on August 3rd, 2025, this year. This piece has a total of 35,721 stitches in it. And I will also put up a close-up picture of the stitching for you. Alright, so let's get on with my regular stitching for last week. So last week I worked on 7 projects, and we're going to start off with my one strand a day. And that piece is going to be Candy Cane Santa. Sorry for the glare. See, there we go. And this is a Dimensions Gold kit, and I'm using everything in the kit. It was designed by Donna Race. You should be seeing a picture of where it was last time you saw it. It is being stitched on 16 count Aida in the color Dove Gray. And I feel like I made some really good I say that every time, but I feel like I made some really good progress this time. I'm not sure how this filming is going to work out. I feel more natural standing this way, so. But here's where I got to. And again, I worked on bringing this side down. And as you can see, I've worked in a couple more of these hanging threads there. But this is where I've gotten to. And so this past week, and this is being stitched with whatever the number of threads is that it calls for, whether it be a half stitch or a full cross. And I got in 304 stitches on him this week, for a total of 23,738 stitches. And I hit 46% this past week. So that's exciting. We're almost 50%. Alright, so my weekly focus piece for this past week is Seaside Tiny Town. Yeah. And this is by Heart and Hand. I have a couple of different ones of these. This is part of that series, the Tiny Town series, and I like several of them. So I already own a couple of more, and there's several more of them I would like to get. But this was my focus piece for this past week. You should be seeing a picture of what it looked like last time you saw it. And this is where I got to this time. I also filmed a Stitch With Me video on this one this week. But I was able to get in this past week 588 stitches. This is being stitched 2/1 using the DMC conversion that they provide, and it's on 14 count Aida in the color natural. But this is where I got to. And this was from my smalls category. Okay. So then the next stitching that I want to talk about will be my Stitchopoly stitching. So I had 2 pieces that I worked on this week, and I needed to finish up my 350 stitch goal for Seahorses, which is a Haid. I'll put up a picture of what it'll look like when it's finished. It's artwork based, or excuse me, artwork by Renee Bertonfeld. And I'm stitching this on 18 count Aida in a cream color. And you should now be seeing a picture of what it looked like last time you saw it. Using all the called for DMC 2/1 full cross. And so I needed another 215 stitches to complete this, what was called for this last round of Stitchopoly. So I finished that bottom part of the diagonal, and then I came up here to the top and started this diagonal. And so I got in, let me find it here on my list of notes. There it is, 215 stitches, which again completed the 350 stitches that I needed for Stitchopoly. So this piece now has a total of 26,416 stitches, and it is at 10% complete. All right, so the other piece that I worked on for Stitchopoly was my London Haid, and I will put up a picture here of what it will look like when it's finished. It is based, I keep wanting to say based on, it is artwork. The artwork is by Chero Marchetti, and you should be seeing a photo of what it looked like last time you saw it. And so for this round of Monopoly, I needed 350 stitches on it as well. So here's where I was able to get to. I continued bringing down this diagonal right here. And there's just something about this piece that I just really, really enjoy, because I guess it's because of all the different landmarks and iconic things that you think of when you think of London that are in this piece. And so I just really enjoy it. Let's see. I'm stitching this on either 18 or 20 count Aida. I'm not exactly sure. I don't remember. I didn't write it down. I wasn't writing down all the info back then when I started this one. And I'm using all the Code 4 DMC. 2 over 1 full cross. And so this week I got in 237 stitches for a total of 9,150 stitches, and I hit 4% on this one. So that's also exciting. All right, so now let's move on to gridiron grind stitching. Okay, so this past week, previous week, when we played Alabama, I needed 177 stitches for the postman. I've confused myself. No, I needed 235. Sorry, because Alabama beat us. That's right. I needed 235. And this is the piece that I'm using on the postman for the opposing teams that we play. This is a piece by Cottage Garden Samplings. I am using a combination of the Code 4 threads, and I'm substituting some from my stash of color and cotton. So you should be seeing a picture of what it looked like last time you saw it. So, like I said, I needed 235 stitches. Well, I was just going to town and didn't realize that I had already, sorry, Flosstube nose. I had already gotten in my 235, and I kept on stitching for another 15 stitches. I think that's right. Anywho, I ended up putting in 250. But that's okay, because that puts me ahead for this past Saturday. So I continued working on and got his head, so I got all of his head done. And I finished up his hat. And so next week, sorry about that. Next week when I pull him out, I will be able to start on some of the mailboxes around him, and that's exciting. And again, all the mailboxes, with the exception of the UK one right here, I'm going to do in blue, more like American postal boxes. And so that this one will remain red, because the UK ones are usually red, and then of course the red bird will be red. But I put in 250 stitches on him this past week, which he is being stitched on 16 count Aida fiddlers, and it's being stitched 2 over 1 full cross, and he now has a total of 4,431 stitches in him, and I'm really excited because I feel like I'm on the finish line with him now, almost. If I get a couple of those mailboxes in. All right. Moving on. So the other piece that I work on for Gridiron Grind is 2 dancing peacocks, and I'll put up a picture of what it will look like finished here. And then you should be seeing a picture of what it will look like last time you saw it. So this piece is based on artwork by Oleg Gavrilov. It's been stitched on 18 count Aida in the color cream. Called 4 DMC. 2 over 1 full cross, and here is where I got to. Oh, wait a minute. So again, I worked in this area here, trying to make my way over to the corner, and continuing with the typewriter method. And so this past Saturday, I put in a total of 160 stitches. And that brings this one to a total of 17,355 stitches. There's that corner. I started working my way across. And so this piece is at 4% complete. Sorry, this will be easier to show here in just a minute. All right. So then the last piece I worked on for this past week is what I'm calling my 2 strands on Sundays piece. And it is the Stephen King house by the Witchy Stitcher. Should be seeing a photo of what it looked like last time you saw it. This piece I am working on trying to get the frame of the house in, and I am putting in 2 strands of black DMC 310 on Sundays. This is how far I got in the stitching that I did yesterday. So yesterday I got in 110 stitches. That's where the two lengths got me. And it's now at a total of 466 stitches. All right. So let's move on to what I have planned to work on this current week. Let me move that out of the way. So, of course, I will be doing my 1 strand a day, which is Candy Cane Santa. So, we're almost to the end of October. When I do my October wrap-up, I will show a photo of him at the beginning of October versus the end of October, so you can see how much progress has been made. But I will continue on him this week. And then my weekly focus for this coming week is my chatelaine category. So I'll be putting up a picture of my chatelaine. This is Frosty Knot Garden. I'm using all the called for specialty threads, DMC, and beads. When I get to the beading part of it, I am stitching this on 16 count Ada in the color cream, and this is where I will be starting from. And I'm so excited that I've been able to get as much I just feel like I've gotten quite a bit of progress on it this week. And so I will continue concentrating on this part right here and then work my way up and around this way with those stitches. So we'll see how far I get for this week. And since I only have the one Stitchopoly piece to finish up this week, that extra time I will either put into this piece or into Two Dancing Peacocks, depending on which one I'm in the mood to stitch on. Let's see. So, speaking of Stitchopoly, what did I do with that piece? Here it is. Alright, so I still have, let's see, I need 113 stitches to finish up the 350 stitch go on this one for Stitchopoly. And then I will play another round of Stitchopoly for the next week. For Gridiron Grind, I will continue on with the Postman. And this past Saturday, we played Kentucky. Tennessee beat Kentucky with a score of 56-34. So this piece for this past Saturday would get another 170 stitches, but since I put in 15 more for the previous week, I've already reduced this one down to just needing 155 for this week. So I'm going to start on the mailboxes. And for Two Dancing Peacocks, since Tennessee won, that added another 610 stitches that I need to my total on Two Dancing Peacocks. So I will continue from here, continue to work my way out to the corner. And then once I get to that corner, I'll come back and go across again on the next row. I don't know if I'll get to the corner this week. I probably won't. There's still a lot to go before I get to the corner. But at this time, my total needed on this piece is 2,223 stitches to get it completely caught up. And I'm not worried about being behind. Even after the season's over, I'll just continue over this until I get all those stitches in. And then I will, of course, on Sunday, pick this piece back up and put in 2 more strands. This is Stephen King House by Witchy Stitcher. Alright, as far as stitching, that's pretty much all I have for you. It's kind of gloomy outside. It's supposed to rain pretty much all this week. It's raining right now. This is a fairly shorter video. Today is my off day, but I do have to go into work for a while, and I'm going to be leaving here shortly, so I needed to kind of keep this short and sweet. So with that having been said, I hope everyone has a wonderful week, and that you take some time for yourself and get some stitches in. I know I will do my best to do so. I don't know if I'll be able to get any stitches in today, honestly, because I am going into work and I'm going in a lot later than I normally do. So, if I don't, that's okay. I mean, you know, we do what we can do when we can do it, right? So, I will see you next week. Bye-bye.